Just before we start, I'd like to propose a at least tentative distinction between music that is political and music that is about politics. This partially comes from I have idiosyncratic definition of politics, as well as an idiosyncratic definition of meaning. But yeah, let's exercise our aesthetic opinions first. What makes good protest music?
Five-finger death punch.
No.
Okay.
Zach's off the podcast.
I feel like good political, or you said protest music?
Yeah, for this part of the conversation, we can say political music just as a shorthand, but
Sure.
what makes good music with political themes? What makes that interesting, engaging?
I definitely think one of the facets of it is it has to be recent or modern. Like no one wants to hear a song about the Watergate scandal. So I feel like you have to be talking about something at least somewhat relevant in the geopolitical sphere.
I mean, but then you get to songs like Head Full of Doubt by the Avett Brothers, which is like just a timeless kind of political song where it's just like the general things, and like looking back, you're like, yep, we still up in that. Or you go and listen to like medieval ballads. It's like, yep, them kings still doing king stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so there's like a timelessness to certain parts, but then you get the new Lil Darky album.
Yeah. How about relevance?
Relevance.
Because Lil Darky album talks about Vietnam, but he's juxtaposing contemporary conflicts with Vietnam. Relevance can kind of cover all of that. Like one thing I don't like is there's a lot of very, I'll say, reductive punk songs that act like nothing's changed in political discourse since the 70s.
There's also a lot of modern Katy Perry songs that do the same thing. Those are the binary. You're either an overdone punk band or you're Katy Perry.
Understanding your audience and what will reach your audience is also grounds for at least what I would consider to be a skillful political approach, especially if you are aware that your target demographic or your target audience is people that generally will not resonate with any political message you're trying to send. Being able to craft ways for that political opposition to still receive your message, especially now when people are pretty camped out in their political music listenings.
That's the big thing for me of, if you're going to make a political song, it has to be a good song. You can't coast off the fact that, ooh, you agree with what I'm saying, so like you have to like the song. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of, this whole podcast, I'm just going to keep talking about the, oh God, okay. Yeah, I bumped Tom McDonald in the car no. That's the difference. I don't actually enjoy that rapping. But with like the new Lil Darky song, I'm sure there's a lot, or album, USD, I'm sure there's a lot of Lil Darky fans that are like Trump supporters and stuff like that out there, because I can see that attracting it. But there's also a lot of people who would listen to it just because it's good music. And that's how like you can really start to change someone's mind, is if you get a bop and people who don't agree with your opinion still want to listen to it. If you slowly hear those opinions over and over again in a way that you like consuming it, it's like the difference between talking your political opinion at somebody, which is almost never going to change it, versus making them actually like forced to listen to it over and over again.
Sure. Personability too.
Mm-hmm.
Like Rage Against the Machine, they're a good example of that. All their music is very political, but people even nowadays will listen to it, and even people who don't necessarily agree with the message of the song will still listen to the music because it's some good ass songs.
Three historical functions of protest music or music with political themes. You can also say socially conscious music. There's another good phrase that I think captures what we're talking about right now.
Woke music.
Woke music. The first is information. This is the function of music to articulate a shared set of values and experiences. I think this is what we were kind of just talking about, is if you've got good music that hooks people in, but also has like facts and opinions in it that expose somebody to new ideas, that's going to have some sort of long-term effect. The second function of protest music is actual organization, creating physical and social spaces where countercultural identities, where oppositional political strategies just come together, where people can actually get together, like punk scene, get people together in a music venue with similar political goals, with similar value systems. Third function is a little more general. It's what I would call resonance, where a song can act as a hype song for a political movement. One example of this is just the really basic psychological function of music to motivate people. If you're at a rally or a protest and there's music blaring over a loudspeaker, especially music that you like, that you know, and it gets you feeling a certain way, you're more likely to do something than to not do something.
It's like what We Will Rock You did to the British people's cause. They earned a little respect. Yeah, the information part, this might not exactly be on it, but I get tired of hearing the same protest words. Like, if I hear Fight the Power in a song in 2025, I'm just thinking back to the days of DJs and breakdancing. I'm like, we need a new catchphrase going, like a new thing. Like, that doesn't resonate with people as actual political movement, at least to me anymore.
It's kind of superficial.
Yeah. It's kind of like saying I'm colder than ice. It's like I don't even register that as like a play on words because I've heard it so many times. I like unique takes on how to move.
Also, like on the information front, I think especially now people are so oversaturated with all partisanal politics. Don't talk about like gun reform in a song and then also talk about the civil rights movement and then all of the other Occupy Democrat left-wing ideals. Same for any like right-wing, right? Don't be the fucking rich guy, North of Richmond guy, or the rich men guy, and just like say things that everybody agrees with and then casually slip in fat phobia. I think people get really tired when like you can tell when somebody has a specific leaning. You can talk about politics in a way that isn't just like you're campaigning.
Well, it's your own damn fault. You're so damn fat.
That guy's fucking awesome.
Shout out Jesse Wells, top tier protest music.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So on information, one of the notes I had down for something that I think artists can take away is, on top of relevance, maybe even more honed in, is specificity. So as far as information, my favorite protest band of all time is System of a Down.
Yes.
They've got nearly 2 million Americans are incarcerated in the prison system of the U.S. Like, straight to the point, in your face, no way to get around it.
Found that you fuck 90%.
Anarchy
Yeah.
folk is my favorite right now.
That's the only true folk.
Yeah.
All political music that just instills hatred of the government and doesn't take any sort of particular leaning. Anything where the overarching message is the government is awful and hates you and you should hate the awful government. That's probably, in my opinion, the most effective protest music currently.
I find that to be a lot more punk than the punks who are like simping for the government, but only when the government does things that they like.
Government,
Right.
we really need welfare. We're not going to organize on our own. Please pass laws.
We want,
Right.
we want to rebel. Let us. Can we rebel?
If we're talking about protest songs in the 21st century, again, everyone knows the government sucks. Mostly everyone who is vaguely reasonable has pretty much the same beliefs. Some people have been convinced by the media that their belief systems are compatible with certain government policies, which is why, just to be safe, the government is always your enemy. Don't forget that. But also, if we're talking about protest music in the 21st century, we can't not talk about getting pedophiles out of the music industry. In terms of the third function of protest music, resonance, the ability for a protest song to act as a hype song for a social movement. It's hard to have any better examples than Not Like Us,
Yes.
especially for the virality factor. Like, if you manage to get dance clubs, everyone in the club just calling out a pedophile in the music industry.
OVO.
The entire Super Bowl arena shouting, A minor. That strikes me as a very unique event. And it's not politics in the conventional sense of who's in government, which again, I don't consider actual politics. I think politics is it's closer to ethics. How do you live your life? And what Kendrick did last year got people to stop supporting Drake. I haven't looked at the finances, but I feel like Drake is probably not making as much money as he did.
Drake's in
I
fact
feel like he
not.
is significantly less powerful culturally. And that's actual politics. That's a hit job that was successful and conducted exclusively through music.
And that's also partially being tactical, not emotional, which a lot of people I feel do really wrong in music when they're trying to get a point across. Because music is their emotion, so they rely on raw emotion of music. Not realizing that if you don't think about the long term in this, it's not going to work. Like if Kendrick just dropped Not Like Us, like it would have been a banger because it's Kendrick, but it wouldn't have had that moment. He led you in with all these other tracks. He set it up and then just punted it out of there with that one. And it's called, you got to pace yourself, because it's not like you're going to drop one song and you're going to change anything. You got to drop a continuous series of things and build to like that emotional climax at the end.
It's also such a sonic boom, though. Very orally persuasive.
Yes.
A minor. That is stim material.
It was
man.
the like ability to latch on to catchy stuff, which is the
It comes back to you have to have a good song. You're trying to send a message.
it's crazy to make music. You got to make good music.
And
Yeah.
especially having the goodness of the song, the good parts of the song, the juice, be essential to the message.
I think if the song were to be written differently, like it still would have had the impact of calling out Drake as a pedophile, but the fact that it had like sing-along parts and there was like a overarching catchiness to the song really made it transcend, basically a diss track.
Yeah, I mean, like Meet the Grams was the most brutal part of that entire exchange, but it's not very catchy.
Your son's a sick man with sick thoughts. I think people like him should die.
I'll also say, like, I loved Kendrick's song just as somebody that, like, I grew up in Washington State, so I grew up with a lot of liberals, right? A lot of people that said that you cannot make jokes about any sensitive content. And one of the jokes that would casually be made were some joke relating to if I was playing bass, somebody would make a comment about fingering a minor, and it was awful and disgusting, right? But like to see that used in that particular context is a perfect example of how that comedic irony can be used as a political tool motivator for good. You oust a pedophile with that shit. And just also in general, like that, it was a clingy wordplay thing that people caught on to. They really liked. That's just like captured just the Gen Z ironic humor enough to make it like a huge sensational thing.
And holding the note, which I mean, he held the note because that's what Drake did in one of his other songs with the Might Be Dave Freeze. When he's accusing Kendrick's kids of not being his. And Kendrick flipped that and made it the hardest, pedo bar.
Yep.
But I had that argument so many times where it would just be, yes, you can absolutely joke about sensitive content in a way that yields benefit. And also just more than that, I mean, comedy and irony is something that motivates our generation for some odd fucking reason.
There's no joke that's too edgy to say. There are jokes that are too edgy to half-ass.
Yeah.
And if it makes you uncomfortable, like our generation is one of those, like we're kind of weird in our ability to just sort of respond to things that make us uncomfortable with like developing frameworks around it. If a joke is so bad that we cannot stomach it, like that kind of helps develop our moral framework a lot of the time.
I mean, it's also worth saying that, like, yeah, this is more present in our generation. It's better known that, like, Gen Z's has this sense of ironic distance from reality just because we've got technical distance from reality, too. We're socially mediated. But this is at the explosion of protest music in the 60s. Pretty much the genesis of metal is this synthesis of protest with willingness to explore the grotesque, the really disturbing. You get like 21st century schizoid man, Black Sabbath, rest in peace, the Prince of Darkness. But it's trying to approach and throw this disturbing stuff right in your face in a way was considered unpalatable. It was considered not just by the conservatives, but by liberals at the time. It was considered, this isn't something you should be talking about if you want to make a positive difference. You should be singing about everybody get together, be happy.
Those same people are jamming to A minor. Like, tell me that shit don't work then.
Making music about peace and love, like Imagine, is how you get shot by a crazy fan.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, people don't really resonate with that. Like, I think everybody would agree, that they would want peace and love in the world. But by forcing people to think about the uncomfortable and like grotesque things in the world, I feel like that's more likely to cause meaningful conversations and change.
Yeah. I mean, there was the social trend of, in the 60s, we actually did think that if we're just positive enough, then the government will also be positive.
Carl Rogers, psychological trend too, humanistic psychology, right after the behaviorist period.
But then we got Kent State, Altamont, Vietnam still going on. Nixon got reelected. All like one after another. And people kind of got the message in the 70s. And that's what gave birth to metal music. That's what gave birth to punk music. And that's what helped give birth to hip hop ultimately. Obviously, black people were kind of struggling all through this time. But the fact that the civil rights movement went through and there's still ghettos, there's still poverty, it's not going to change. So it's time to try a different strategy. And that strategy was anger.
Fuck the police coming straight from the underground.
And obviously, there's still a positive element in here. Like punk music, hip hop, it's all about bringing people with similar values together, again, in the same social space. So if someone resonates with this message, they show up to a show, they meet other people, they have the capacity to organize. But the message is fundamentally oppositional. It's the government's never going to be your friend. We tried to be friends with the government, and it didn't work.
The government tried that whole thing again with the song Happy.
PSYOP.
I swear that was a thing put there to try to convince people things were okay. I hate that song with a passion, even though I was just talking about how Pharrell Williams is the best dude.
Apparently, he wrote several songs for Despicable Me, and they kept getting rejected. And so he was like, fuck this, I'm going to write the dumbest song possible.
Yeah.
And they accepted it.
He did, in fact, achieve his goal. Yeah, don't tell me to be happy. That's going to make me pissed as fuck. If I'm thinking about happiness, I feel like I'm pretending to think about happiness, and that makes me feel like an imposter. Then I get sad because I'm like, I'm not actually like that.
That's because psychology's developed since then. We're in the cognitive processes model now, but like, I think he mentioned before, this actually just was the way that the world was. Like, toxic positivity was a huge thing in the 60s. It really was just like, let's all try to think about peace.
Well, the Mormons still do
that. We
that.
can be happy.